Hello and welcome to Lifetime on Court, the podcast where we discuss your favorite made-for-TV movies. I am Patrick Serrano, a Lifetime movie expert, and my guests today are...
I am Erin Shea, and I am a producer for Deck the Hallmark.
And I'm Ty Trumbo. I'm an actor. I play Holden in Lifetime's Dying for Fame.
Yeah, you do. Holden from... Wait, what was the movie called?
Dying for Fame.
Dying for Fame. So scary. We covered it on the podcast with Dan. And, you know, unfortunately, we did put a cork in the movie, but we don't put a cork in you, Ty. You're amazing. And we're so thankful that you're taking the time to talk to us.
Thanks for having me.
Of course. We're not hard-hitting journalists here. We're, you know, I'm not Oprah. Aaron is not Gail.
We could be, though, someday, Patrick.
Okay, good. Yeah, I see that.
I get that, but hit me with all the hard questions. Whatever you want, I'm open. I'm game.
Okay, great. We're gonna go there.
All right.
Being in a Lifetime movie, what was a goal of mine in life? Was it a goal for you to be in a Lifetime movie?
I can't say it was a goal, but it was a ton of fun, especially playing this character because very different than what I go out for, very different than what I played, you know, with this sort of character who's unhinged and, you know, go off the rails at any minute. It's a blast to play that sort of guy.
Yeah, I did notice checking out like your IMDb and stuff. You usually play kind of like a jock character, like, you know, the hunk. I mean, you are a hunk. You're like literally a hunk. But in this movie, you're playing like a stalker hunk. How was it like going into that stalkery role opposed to like more jockey stuff?
It's definitely a lot more fun, for sure. I have gone out for the stalker on Lifetime, but it's a different type of stalker. So you have the stalker type, and within that type, within that trope, there's different stalkers, right? I usually go out for, you know, the owner of a hedge fund who has a crisp suit and, you know, says all the right things and is the perfect guy. And then you realize there's something a little off, something a little possessive, and then he just goes off the rails, right? And but Holden was not that guy. This was an incel, which was a term that I had never heard of before, but it's apparently a real thing. Have you ever heard of incel?
Please tell me what that means, because you know I don't have a wide vocabulary.
I hadn't, but it's what the kids say for involuntarily celibate.
Oh, what?
Yes.
Okay.
It's this whole sub community of men, and this was completely new to me. I had never heard of this until I got the audition. It's this community of men that choose to be celibate, who want to be with women, but don't know how to approach women. And they tend to be very resentful of women who reject them. So they go online, and they form communities in online forums, and basically it becomes an echo chamber for what can be toxic masculinity.
Yeah.
You know, so my character's in that world and, you know, goes downhill from there.
Wow. Okay. So, but and it's like a real thing.
It's a real thing. Yeah.
Are the tattoos, the star tattoo, is that real?
So that's not real. No, that's specific to the story.
Do you have the star tattoo still? So, like, is the outline still there?
I don't, you know, but we had a watch party at the director's house last week. And so we all, you know, got to reunite with the cast and the crew. But I realized afterwards I should have brought you know, put the star back on.
Absolutely. You know? I mean, I was buying that like hook, line, and sinker with the star tattoo. And then you're right. Like the incel thing, I've never heard of that. Like, I mean, that sounds like something that's so real. Like
it is. Yeah. It's developed recently kind of as a counter movement to the Me Too movement. Can be a very toxic place. I mean, when I was researching it, and it doesn't serve as a major plot point in the movie, as you know, but it really helped me in terms of like forming a backstory for the character.
Totally. And I wish they would have like brought that into the movie because that's like so interesting, like to learn about that. I mean, I remember them kind of mentioning this.
Yeah.
Now that you're saying it, I'm like, I think I remember the word incel being said in the movie, and I was like, I don't know what that means. It just moved on. But yeah, no, that makes sense because your character was like definitely going through it in the movie. Like, you know, right away, like that you're a bad guy.
Sure.
But then there's also layers to it, like you were saying, like you're the bad guy, but someone hired you, and then you actually did fall in love with this person. So there's like so many different parts to play. Like going through that as an actor, how did you like delineate like when each part was happening, or
Knowing where I was in the story, where the character was helpful. And also, I didn't want to play the idea of a stalker and just demonstrate that, the creepy stalker guy. Some of that came from just researching these incels. While I don't agree with their worldviews and how they look at women and the way they conduct themselves, you do kind of feel sorry for them because
hmm
they they see themselves as not being seen by people and being overlooked. They're very isolated. I saw Holden in that light as well. The first scene, for example, I really tried to play it that he believes that he's in love, and I think he thinks that if he just keeps going, if he just, you know, does the right thing, she's
hmm
gonna love him back.
Yeah, that opening scene in the gym, I thought you were gonna murder her right there. I was like, I live alone and I was texting Patrick, like, I can't believe you're making me watch this movie. I'm locking all my doors. And then she gets away, and I was like, okay, I didn't see it coming.
Oh, that's funny. It was cool on set because we shot that at like 3 or 4 a.m. in Pasadena out here in California. And we only had one or two takes. That's it. We can get into this later, but with Lifetime movies, they film really fast. And so fortunately we got it, but just seeing all the candles on the floor, it's like I I think that that's something that the character that Holden would see. It's almost kind of a elementary kind of like childish look of love.
hmm
Women like roses, girls like flowers. Let me light some candles. It'll be romantic, and she'll fall in love with me.
Well, Ty, if you did that for me, it would be over. We'd be married.
Well, I now know that you live in Chicago, so
That's true. That's true. We'll get drinks first. We need to go on like a proper date.
okay, we'll get to know each other.
One more question about the incel thing. Did you
Yeah.
like Joesty Grosty it? Did you like go undercover and like go on one of these forums? Or is this kind of like you did the research and you're like, all right, I have enough information. I don't need to like go undercover.
I didn't communicate with anyone, if that's what you're asking, which probably would have taken me to a different level of craziness within this subculture. But I did get enough to see like what the terms are. They have their own sort of language and lingo. There's a term that they use for chads, which refer to the type of guys that most girls want to be with. And then there's the Stacys that are typically the girls that reject them, right? And the girls
What?
that they resent.
How are
Yeah.
they picking these names? This is crazy. Yeah. No, okay. I'm learning so much. Like seriously, like as an actor, like the audience doesn't necessarily know like how deep you have to dive to like get all this lingo that you're pulling out. Like it's truly fascinating. So good on you for doing that work, you know?
Yeah, I think it was on the episode. Dan says he wants a whole movie like about the Romeos. And I am now thinking that Holden needs his own movie where we just go all in
Let's
on
pitch
this.
it because I'm down.
Okay.
I wish it was delved into more just because of the fact that I think it makes it more current. A lot of people haven't heard about this like subculture, and it's typically, this is something else I should add. It's typically young white men, right?
hmm
Many of the school shooters have come from this incel culture and sub community. Kids that are isolated, that feel rejected at a time in their life when they most want to be accepted.
Okay.
It's definitely a growing problem for sure. I don't know how you fix it. I just know that it was interesting that they put it into our story.
Yeah, I love that, and it just gives your character so much more depth. And I think you did a great job at kind of communicating that without necessarily having it in the script. So
Thanks.
that's pretty
Yeah.
cool, and it's very interesting actually. Like that, like. I wasn't planning on coming in and like getting deep on like kind of this incel culture or anything, but yeah, it's truly fascinating. So coming into the lifetiminess of it, were you like did you come into like did you know this was a Lifetime movie when you were filming, or was it like just with another third party producer?
No, I knew it was a Lifetime movie for sure. It had the tone and all the elements that a Lifetime movie has.
Okay.
And the production company involved, Dawn's Light, which produced it, has produced, I would say a dozen Lifetime movies. Our director, who was a great guy, very talented, really knows how to speak to actors and knows how to make a movie in 10 to 14 days, which, was at our timeline.
It's a skill.
He had made several Lifetime movies. Yeah, it's a skill. It's a skill.
You got to really like know what you're doing. Got to have that plan. You get the schedule going, and like you were saying earlier, like you get one or two takes, and you're good to go. You're moving on.
Yeah, yeah. There's no time to sort of chew on the scene and experiment, play with it different ways. You just have to come in ready to go because you know that you're only getting no more than three takes. When you're shooting at that speed, there's not time for things to go wrong, but things inevitably go wrong. So you got to be flexible too. But he did an amazing job of making it look great, really elevating the production value. My death sequence, which we can talk about, which looks great, the final outcome.
Oh yeah, too
Yeah.
great, too scary, very scary.
Although I will say, if my head had hit just another couple staircases, it would have become comical because it was just bang, bang, bang.
Yes,
You know.
correct, correct.
Um,
That's the comedy. Yeah, the rule of
yeah, for
comedy.
sure. But it looked real, and it was a split second, but it really worked. I felt like. But what was interesting about that was on the day. You see it in the script, and as the actor, it's not your job to figure out how they're going to do it. But you're kind of wondering in the back of your head. So I'm wondering how they're going to go with this. Are they really going to have that happen? And then we do some coverage, but before the death sequence, and then uh, between takes, they bring up a dummy. That was in my clothes, but I mean, this thing looks so fake. It looked like making a student film or something. I'm thinking, there's no way this is going to play. There's no way
Yeah.
this is going to work. But sure enough, I was surprised by it. And you usually don't get those types of deaths in Lifetime movies, from what I've seen.
There's falling down the stairs, but you fell down the stairwell. I mean, that was that was intense. It
Yeah,
it was in the podcast episode, me and Aaron were trying to explain it to Dan. Like we're like, no, 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 like he didn't fall down the stairs. Like it was like a plunk, plunk, plunk.
Yeah, not even just like down the stairwell and then you just land on the ground. Like you hit every railing on the way down. We watch you die for a while.
yeah. If I didn't die with the first collision, I definitely died on the second or third and
Yeah.
had a few extra just in case.
Every now and then people will like survive a fall like that when they get to the bottom. And I don't know, a second in, I was like, oh no, he's not coming back from
No,
this.
I can't remember. Did my head fall off in the final version?
I don't think so.
No, Lifetime would not show like a
That's
head off of a body. I don't think
that's
that would be very
okay. That
scary.
makes sense. That's true now that I think of it. But the reason I asked that is watching it back on the monitor on the last take, the head was dislodged from the dummy,
Oh
and you got
wow!
it on camera, and it's pretty funny.
Did you take a picture with the dummy, or did you name the
I
dummy?
didn't name the dummy, but I have a few good photos of it because it
Nice.
looks. I mean, it looks. I think there's mannequins in the mall that look more like me than this dummy.
Okay, well that's probably better, right? We don't want to see Ty falling down. We want Ty to be okay, so just have it be like a
Yeah,
generic dummy, so we can like
yeah,
a voodoo doll
exactly.
dummy, you know? Did this movie film? Because we were talking before we were recording about you being a
Yeah.
bi-coastal actor extraordinaire. You do movies in LA, and then you also are in the Atlanta market. Where did this movie film?
So this filmed in Los Angeles, uh,
Okay.
primarily downtown, and then in Pasadena.
What stuff have you done in Atlanta, and what's that film world like? Like, because it's a very up and coming area. I notice a lot of Lifetime movies are filming in Atlanta now.
Yeah,
What's that market like, and how do you like filming there as opposed to LA?
I prefer filming there for sure, just because I'm an Atlanta boy. I love the food. I love the culture. It's also nice going somewhere to film. It's nice being on location for a couple
Hmm.
weeks. It's a different vibe in Atlanta for sure. So it's nice to get that break, but it's also at the same time, filming in LA. There have been times, like particularly, I did a show where I was filming a couple seasons over the course of 3 or 4 months, just right down the street. And it was very
Hmm.
much wake up
Oh, cool.
and go to work. each day, which was great. But in terms of the Atlanta market, it's huge. It's the production out there is, I would say, a much bigger market than it is even in Los Angeles. Now, all of the development is still done in Los Angeles, but in terms of physical production, it's amazing. When I filmed in Atlanta, there's many times I'm driving through the city and I see other sets, which
Hmm.
surprised me the first couple of times around.
Yeah, I mean, it really is like an up and coming market with Tyler Perry being there and all that stuff. And reality shows, of course, film in Atlanta a lot as well.
Well, I was going to ask if you had a preference between like the food in LA or Atlanta, but then you just said you love the food in Atlanta. So I'm going to give Atlanta
Yeah,
1 point.
yeah, definitely love some Southern soul food.
And did you grew up in Atlanta, or where did you grow up?
So I grew up in Florida, but I lived in Atlanta for a couple years before coming out to LA. And
Okay, cool.
yeah, I prefer, being based in LA and then, traveling to where I need to go to film.
Sure. Have you done any work in Canada?
I haven't, no, not yet. Not at this point, but I'm auditioning for something actually that films in Vancouver.
Okay.
So,
Yeah, we got to get you up there. Like, we need to get you in a Hallmark Christmas movie. Like, you're perfect for that. So we got to get the fans like on board and say we need Ty up in here in a Hallmark movie. Would you want to do like a Christmassy movie? Like, is that something on your actor bucket list?
oh yeah, absolutely. I'm down to do a Hallmark Christmas movie. So let's make that happen. And I would love to do it for my mom because my mom watches them obsessively.
Aw,
And they just have gotten bigger every year. That's what's amazing about them. And I should tell you, since both of you are diehard Hallmark fans, Hallmark's headquarters is right down the street from where I live. And I would say that they have a billboard right in front of their office. And I would say probably within 200 days, once you get to about day 200, they have a countdown until Christmas.
nice.
So they are just ready to go at all times. And but anyway, back to your question. Yeah, it's something I've been wanting to do. And my wife just filmed a Christmas movie for BET that came out this past Christmas called Christmas Rescue, which was real successful and Hallmark-esque.
Yes, I love the BET movies. They were all on the BET Plus,
Yeah.
so I was like, damn, I don't have BET Plus. I need to get that. So that's awesome. I didn't know that your wife was an actress as well. So that's kind of cool. Like you both are kind of in the same worlds. You understand like your jobs, They're-
Yes.
so that's really nice. I just want to point out when you're pointing out the Hallmark studio is like near your house, you're totally like flexing. So good job on you for showing your muscles. This way, that way, this way, that way.
Over here.
Yeah, exactly, exactly.
Yeah.
So how did you meet your wife, and like did you guys meet on set or something?
No, we didn't meet on set. We met in an acting class, I would say 5 years ago, and we were only in that class for a period of a month. And, we stayed in touch since then. And, when we get an audition, we would coach each other every now and then. I was in the friend zone for a couple years,
Uh-oh.
and it took me some time to break out of that. We should make a Hallmark movie about us because she made me put some work in.
Yeah.
That's all I can say. But it was good. It was good. We were best friends first, and I'm grateful for that.
That's how you should do it, I would imagine.
Yeah.
I'm a single gal over here, so that's how I would like my romance to start, with like a friendship. Of course, you want to have them be your friend. You get to know them, and then the sparks fly or whatever. So that sounds perfect.
Yeah. It's funny because we met in that class and then we lost touch and then I ran into her in a parking garage and she said we should hang out sometime. And I took that as a green light. I'm like, okay,
Yeah.
I'm ready. But I found out later that it was not a green light. It was we should be friends. And so I asked her out and we were gonna go jet skiing in Santa Monica. And she's like, I don't want to go jet skiing. We'll go to dinner. I'm like, okay, we'll go to dinner. Came time to go to dinner. I don't want to go to dinner. We can do lunch.
Mm.
Time to do lunch. I don't want to go to lunch. I want to do coffee. Came time to do coffee. Can't do coffee. Let's just reschedule. So I had to kind
Oh
of
my gosh, she put
it
you
kept getting
through it.
worse.
Yeah.
It kept becoming less and less of a date.
Right.
So, you know, that it wasn't a fast start, but
I will
yeah.
say jet skiing for a first date. I don't know about that.
Yeah, yeah, that may not have been the right call. Clearly it wasn't because it didn't happen. So,
I
you
love
know.
your ambition, though. I love that you're like, let's go jet skiing.
Well, I'm over here thinking that was a great first date. Like,
Really?
I don't know. I find when I like try to go on dates, they're always like, "Well, what do you want to do? What restaurant do you want to go to?" And so the fact that like you were like, "We're gonna go jet skiing," like, great, you had a plan. Like even if I wasn't interested, if the guy made a plan, I'd be like, "Yeah, let's go."
Yeah, I definitely had a plan, and it just kept getting progressively progressively worse.
Yeah.
So it was funny. And then I took her out to dinner our first date, and she was in jeans and Converse. I took her to a nice restaurant, and yeah, it was we connected, and that was it. And then it was another 6 months of trying to make this thing official.
Yeah. But you did it. It happened.
But you did it.
I did it, right? And I didn't have to stalk her.
No.
I didn't have to do anything crazy. I didn't have to,
You didn't have to get a tattoo to, profess your love.
no,
So
no, I just did it the old-fashioned way.
That's
It
good.
worked.
That's what people should do. People should not be going on this spooky website or whatever it is. What's next for Ty? Like, what's going on? Like, you mentioned that you have a couple auditions. First of all, I think you and your wife should do a two-man show, two-woman show, right? You're both actors.
We would love to work together. Actually, we almost did on her Christmas movie. I almost played her love interest, the man that she was gonna marry, but then, chooses to marry someone else. So that would have been phenomenal. It didn't work out because the director Robin Givens wanted me for the role,
Oh,
but
I'm
it
sorry, Robin Givens. You're just gonna drop that name? Like, so you mean the iconic Robin Givens?
oh,
Yes.
she's iconic and an amazing woman, and she did a great job. Her and her son co-directed it. It was
Oh, that's
actually her
awesome.
son, Billy, who's amazing, amazing director who, is also just a talented writer and is just getting started. So I'm excited to see what he's going to do.
Cool.
But they had to cast that role, and it was a recast. And Samantha, my wife, had already traveled to Atlanta to film, and she was on set when I got the notice to audition, and I auditioned, and uh, they wanted me, and it would have been a blast. But uh, they went with an African American actor, which they should have done. Absolutely,
Sure.
it's BET, and they made the right call there. But still, would have been fun, and we'll have plenty of times to play together on screen for sure.
Totally.
well, when you write your own love story as a movie, you'll get to be
That's
together
true.
again.
That's true. Yeah.
Yeah.
It
We've got a lot of writing to do.
And we have a lot of movies to pitch.
but you know what? Here's the thing. When I write it, I'm gonna put my own license on it. So maybe we will actually go jet skiing.
Yes. Yes.
Maybe I will get my jet skiing date this time around.
Yes, perfect. You had to pursue her, marry her, write a movie, and that's when you finally get to go jet skiing.
Yeah, that's really why I got into
Yeah,
this.
that's
I
what
just want to take her jet skiing.
you're like. I just
Wanna go
want to go
jet
jet skiing.
That's amazing. Have you ever been jet skiing together?
No, I don't think she's down for it.
I agree.
Every time he
Right?
asks,
She's
she
like,
reschedules.
It's
Coffee?
true.
Did you say coffee? Great.
Yeah. Oh, I should add in on that too. It went from coffee, and then it went to we should go bowling, but we should get a group of friends to go bowling. So that was the low,
A friend date, yeah.
friend date.
But then you meet the friends. That's kind of important. I feel like that's more important.
That's true. Yeah. So that ended up happening, and yeah, friends matter. So they were ultimately, I think, the ones that may have got me over the hump, so to speak.
Of course. Yeah, if you have the friends' approval, then you're good. You're good.
Yeah.
That's really who you need to win over, the best friend of the person you want to date.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
So I was just doing a little bit of like social media research, trying to get to know you and Samantha a little bit. And your bio said that you have a screenwriting degree, and then you worked for a while as a lobbyist, and now like any plans to go back to that or to continue? Because I know like Samantha on hers, when she was Miss Hawaii, she was instrumental in getting like Juneteenth as a holiday in Hawaii. So I know like I feel like that's something you both kind of are passionate about, is making a change, and just wondering if there's anything you two are working on, passionate for the future, something like that.
Thanks for asking that. That was a different time being a lobbyist, very different than what I'm doing now, which is, learning about incels.
Hmm.
Uh, I have no plans going back, but I definitely have plans utilizing what I learned because what I learned was invaluable. I would love to actually, I feel like there's room for like a TV show, a House of Cards TV show about the lobbying world because it's such an interesting life that ultimately wasn't for me. But, it was good I went through it because, we were able to kind of utilize the skills that I learned with our work in Hawaii and for our organization in Hawaii for Juneteenth. It's something that I think I definitely want to use, when we find, causes like that we're invested in that we think can make a difference in the future. Because, one thing I'm big about is, anyone can be a quote activist, and but I think it's more important in some ways to be political because that's ultimately how you get things done. And that's ultimately how you advocate is by getting legislation passed or by making concrete change, not by posting on social media, or sharing your opinions all over the place. I think it's better just to kind of quietly do it and you know, find ways to really make an impact. And that was something that you know, she's even more, geared in that direction than I am, which is why, I initially like was kind of just taken by her and everything that she does. You know, her idea of a date was to go to a nonprofit organization and volunteer, which is not something, it's just not something I would
Hmm.
do on my own, you know. And I say that not as a positive, obviously. It's not that, I just had never really done that. Like, okay, I have a free afternoon. Let me, research some nonprofits and give up my time. And so that's a way that she's like made me better and has opened me up. For me, though, working on getting the Juneteenth bill passed in Hawaii, it was fun because I actually, really believed in it. But when you're a lobbyist, you don't get to pick and choose the battles,
Hmm.
right? And oftentimes there are amoral issues that you're working on, and it's different corporations sort of going to war with one another. Uh, and for this, it was nice to really kind of use what I had learned and to put it to work in kind of our own place in its own direction. And uh, so it was cool when we went to the governor's office and he signed the bill and she gave a speech and because I prefer being behind the scenes in that respect, which is what you do when you're a lobbyist,
Hmm.
and I think that's something that I learned that I would never know had I not done it, and is how many people really kind of making things happen behind the scenes, and how many special interests there are, and it's nice when you can do that, and it's something positive.
Absolutely. Yeah. Incredible. Like, and I like that you guys complement each other in that way. Like, it sounds like, you have a really like healthy kind of like relationship on kind of like bettering each other. And that's awesome. I think that's great.
Thank you. Yeah, it's great to be in it together, to be on the journey together because, like when I've booked something and have to, go to the airport that day, because oftentimes there's no lead in. You book something in Atlanta or, somewhere else.
Mhm.
You booked it, you get on a plane that night, or sometimes it's 2 or 3 hours later. And so she's able to go with that, and the same with me.
Yeah, and that like leads to more opportunities because you both kind of are learning together and learning from each other's experiences. So yeah, I think that's incredible. And like I'm so excited for what is to come for you and Samantha. I think it sounds really cool.
Thank you.
And I think these TV movies, even though like maybe you weren't like, I'm gonna be a lifetime actor, like there is an opportunity to like really get in there and like work with like a good crew of people.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, and to your point, I don't, some actors, they look down at Lifetime movies or Hallmark movies. I mean, let's be honest, or soap operas,
Hmm.
and to me that's you know, generally a red flag that this is someone who's green or inexperienced or really doesn't know what they're talking about because, we use Hallmark movies, for example. some of these roles can be really hard to play. You're balancing a lot. Sometimes the lines are on the nose and you have to make them work. But more than that, like you're on a tight schedule. And, same with soap operas, right? You're filming, 12 pages of dialogue that you got that morning, in 2 hours. And so I just never felt that way with Lifetime or Hallmark, and particularly with this movie, it's probably my favorite character to play because it was so different, and I really just wanted to dive in and make the most of it. Yeah, it was a lot of fun.
Yeah, you definitely did that. I mean, definitely one of my favorite parts of the movie for sure.
Thank you. Yeah, I read your review and it had me laughing. So I'm like, these are some good people to talk to.
Yeah, I'm glad you get it. It can go either way.
We really need like a Romeo series on
Yeah,
Lifetime where we just center around that organization and kind of do offshoots of like what each Romeo is
Yeah,
up
or dig
to.
down deeper, do a prequel, right?
Yeah.
How
Yeah. There's a whole bunch here that Lifetime needs to
yeah,
pick up
how
here.
Holden just spiraled down the toilet drain, so to speak, and
right.
left off here.
One final question. Um,
Sure.
you played the stalker in the movie, and I was really upset that you didn't get a shirtless scene in the movie because clearly you're a fit person. You work out. Do you think? Do you have any like boundaries as far as like taking your shirt off in a film or anything like that? Like, where's the line for you?
That's a good question. So there is a line. There's not much of a line. The only thing I really wouldn't do is full frontal, which you'd see on HBO.
Right.
Uh,
Even for HBO, you would do it,
Even for HBO,
but that's the line. Yeah, yeah.
that's the line.
You have to decide as an actor.
You do, yeah. And for this, I obviously didn't have a shirtless scene, and that it was Brian that really filled in that role, right?
Yeah,
That was his guy. And typically, this is why I was so grateful to play this role, because typically I go out for that guy.
yeah,
I'm that guy.
yes,
And and he did a great job and it's a fun role. But for me this time around, I really liked being Holden. And in fact, when I went in wardrobe and makeup did a phenomenal job. But when I went in, I said, give me bags under my eyes. Make it seem like I've just been scrolling and refreshing my screen because I'm just waiting for Juliet to post again and again and again.
hmm
You know, give me some sort of like a middle part, like my mom had parted my hair for me or something. Like I've been living in a basement because I didn't want to look too clean cut. I didn't want to look like Ryan. I wanted it to really be believable that this is a guy who's never had sex before, doesn't know how to speak to women,
hmm
has no charm, and it's just something a little off, right? And for him, I don't think it's just I've been rejected by women. I think I think with Holden, I think there's other things at play in terms of his mental wellness that are
yes,
lacking.
right. I'm glad they didn't give you glasses. That's all I'm gonna say. You know, they always try to ugly people down with glasses. That's so insulting to glasses wear.
Well, on Hallmark, they've been using the glasses in the other way. They've been like
Have they?
Hallmark the last couple of years, the actors have been wearing the glasses and it is working for them.
Oh, like hunky glass.
Yeah. They're looking real good over on Hallmark. So
Okay, cool.
I don't think Holden should have had glasses because it would have, I think, pushed you in the other direction where Juliet would have been like, maybe
Yeah,
Holden.
yeah. I think you're right. And I I love what Hallmark and Lifetime's been doing because I feel like they've really been changing things up too, yet still
Absolutely.
staying true to their audience, which I like. I think they're keeping it fresh and it feels I mean, I don't have to tell you this because you guys are the biggest fans, but of Hallmark and Lifetime, but it feels like they're fitting a need that everybody wants. It's fun. It's fun doing a Lifetime movie and it being sensational. It's fun doing kind of and I haven't done one, but I hope to do a Hallmark movie that's that just makes you feel good.
Yes.
There's nothing wrong with that.
Amazing. So now it's time for social media stuff. Do you have any pluggy social media things you would like to put out there in the world?
I do. I'm on Instagram at Ty Trumbo, and that's it. I don't do Snapchat or
Okay,
anything else.
that's
I
fair.
try to, yeah, I try to stay off some of these other platforms. just because I think it can be overwhelming. But Instagram I'm on, so you can find me there.
Wonderful. Anything else you'd like to plug in a pluggy time?
Yeah, I gotta plug my wife. Watch Christmas Rescue. I know it's January, but find Christmas Rescue on BET Plus, directed by Billy Jensen Gibbons, and check that out. It's a good time. If you love Hallmark movies, I think you're gonna love this, and I think you're gonna love what BET's been doing with the Christmas movie genre. And you know, keep a lookout for that. And I have a few things coming out. Uh, I don't know when the dates are, but one is a Revolutionary War movie where I played a British aristocrat, which was a lot of fun, which we shot in Atlanta, in a place called Madison,
Cool.
which was this beautiful Hallmark-esque town that I think was maybe the only town that Sherman didn't burn down when he was marching, burning towns through the Civil War. And then I did a HBO series that's still in production now that'll probably come out in a year.
Amazing. Well, keep us posted. We'll share it on our socials for sure, because we like to stay up on what you're doing. Erin, do you have anything you'd like to plug in the pluggy time?
Just, listen to Deck the Hallmark podcast along with Lifetime Uncorked. And starting next week on the 19th, we're launching a new Disney Channel original movie podcast. So if you like Disney Channel original movies, you can follow Brink and Drink.
I have a question about that. Are you starting with
Yeah.
current Disney movies, or are you going to go back to like vintage Disney movies?
We're doing like the Disney Channel original movies. So we started with 1997's Under Wraps. So we're working our way through them all. Dan, who did the episode for Dying for Fame with us, he has never seen Disney Channel movies. He didn't grow up with them. So it's going to be fun to make him watch them all.
That's great.
He's gonna hate them so much.
I'm very excited about it.
Oh man, there's some good ones for sure.
Yeah, some hold up, some do not, and I'm excited for all of it.
What's your favorite one?
I think I'd have to say High School Musical, I think, but like Smart House is right up there.
I remember Smart House. Yeah.
And Motocrossed. That's a good one as well.
Interesting. Yeah. That is such a forgotten genre, yeah, there's so many. There's the one with Katherine Heigl where she wishes upon a star and she switches bodies with her sister.
Yes, but no, that one is it's just before Under Wraps. It's not technically an original movie. It was like on ABC.
Dang.
So we don't get, I know I wanted to watch that one and it doesn't quite qualify. So I'll have to find a way to work that in.
Keep me posted.
All right. Do you want to be on that
if
episode,
you can
Patrick?
cover it, I would love to talk about. I would love to talk about Katherine Heigl, my queen.
All right, perfect.
Wonderful. Well, thank you both for joining me. You can follow me at Patrick Miguel or the show at Lifetime Uncorked. And yeah, don't forget to listen to the episodes of Deck the Lifetime Uncorked every month, maybe more. And we hope to do more interviews. Ty, thank you so much for spending time with us this afternoon.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah. Okay. That's it. Bye.